And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
For here and declare your independence of me, Ernest Hancock. Truth, justice, what used to be American way. Let me tell you about it. Yeah, it was all we against the Ruskies. You know, we're going to get Putin's involved in this thing. I want to talk about that a little bit. First, I just want to give you a heads up. Agora.io, the Liberty Young Conference. Now, this is something George Donnelly is putting together. He did it last year, and it went over really well. And a lot of the guys, they did their part from here in the studio, and we'll be doing it again this year. And I've reserved a time. It's going to be Saturday, September 24th, 10 a.m. We'll be doing that. We'll be announcing that. And that's really, it's kind of like a Freedom Summit online, you know, and I think it's cool that not only can you just go and it not cost you anything hardly, but, you know, it's archived. You just go in, you can listen when you want. Now, in the next hour, before I get to the other stuff, we have the topic is British austerity and the riots. Now, there's a gentleman, Murtaza Hussain. Now, he recently wrote Austerity and the Roots of Britain's Turmoil. Now, he's written for Salon.com, and also the Revolution by the Book is his blog. And it's just, you know, we're going to have a nice discussion. You know, it's going to be interesting. I'm sure, well, if government would just give them what they want, well, then they get out of the streets, you know. You got to take it from somebody. I mean, you know, so we'll see how that's going to go. I hadn't even really read Sierra. Had this all hooked up because I said, yeah, I want to talk to, you know, somebody that wants to talk about the riots and everything and what's his, he's left. He's from the left. Good. It'll be a good conversation. We'll have some fun. So we'll do that. Now, what I wanted to bring up and how and I don't want to get too detailed here because I don't want to, you know, we're still finding out some facts, but there was something said at the Iowa straw poll from an individual in Ron Paul's campaign that made it clear that they go, well, you know, we don't want to have anything to do with RT.com, Russia Today, Adam Kokesh. That's a state-sponsored kind of thing, and it's propaganda, the Russian whatever, and we're not. And I'm going, okay, one, did that really get said? Two, they're right. I mean, you know, it's funded by the government. I mean, when Adam came on, we talked about it. That was one of the first things I brought up. I'm going, well, at least it's not my tax money. I mean, you know, whatever it's going to be. If the Russian government thinks they know how this works, it was called Radio America, okay, or America Free, whatever the heck it was. We were broadcasting radio signals into Russia, and you know, I guess secretly dropping transistor radios or something. And Russia were going, hey man, you're government bad. Well, you know, they were like, oh, they didn't like that none too much, and they're trying to block it and all that kind of stuff, jam the signal. So now we have it spiking right back. You know, here comes the Russian government going, everything you're accusing us of, this, you know, expansion, invasion, and occupation, everything. Can you spell America? Okay, with a K. So I can see this going back and forth, but for them to do that now, after he's enjoyed a lot of people, you know, Peter Schiff, and heck, we just had Lou Rockwell was on Russia Today just this last week. So I'm going, okay, there's a couple of points that I want to put out so you can see what's going on. There was a story that, here, let's go ahead and put you up for those on video so you can see this. There's some things I want to talk about here. I'll just pull this up. Now, what happened was we have Lou Rockwell is on Russia Today. Should the U.S. go back to the gold standard? Is that possible? Are they, you know, so Lou's not, you know, adverse to using the signal to go in and talk about whatever. So I'm like, okay, but, you know, maybe politically it's not a good idea running for president, Ron, to do it. Are they making a conscious decision for this? Well, why would they now? Okay. Putin set sights on Eurasian Economic Union. 20 years after the Soviet Union collapsed, Vladimir Putin, the Russian prime minister, may not, as is sometimes alleged, be trying to recreate it, but he is pursuing a different project to build a quasi-European Union out of the former Soviet states. Ooh, very interesting, is it not? Now, at the same time, you get Gorbachev, coming out. I mean, the same day, down in Phoenix yesterday or the day before, Gorbachev comes out and says, hey, man, we need like regime change in Russia. The guy's gone rogue. Hey, didn't you know he was like KGB? I'm like, this is a secret? You know, the whole entire Russian, black market, mafia, government, whatever, they just privatized and said, we're in charge now anyway, and what's your beef? Yeah, we're free to do whatever we want now. Don't even have to pretend this communism thing. So this is, government, they're the same everywhere. They just wear different hats, I'm just, come on. This is some secret. Well, it's not, it's not our government. We're Americans, MKers, man. It's America as opposed to Mother Russia. And the difference is what? So, where'd Gorbachev come from? Remember, he's all buddies. He's glasnost, the openness of Russia. They're falling down. They know that they can't keep up with Star Wars and Reagan and defense spending. Here we go, and their economy is going to crap, and they're just not going to be able to sustain their empire, and it's going. So what do? We're gonna open ourselves up more. We're going to westernize. We're going to, take this capitalistic thing and develop our resources and sell it to Europe and make a bunch of money on oil. And we got a whole bunch of, the Soviet Union, Russia land, man. We're fine. We start developing resources and quit worrying about all this we rule you thing. We do it the new livestock management tool that we're learning from this American socialism thing, whatever's going on there. As, Stefan Molyneux made it really good. Hey, it's just this American version of whatever the heck this thing is. So I'm going, all right. Gorbachev, as the fall of the Soviet Union goes down, the Berlin Wall falls and everything, all of a sudden, where did Gorbachev go? A lot of the young people don't know some simple things that happened. The Presidio was a naval base. It was a, government naval outpost out there near San Francisco, across the bay or something. The Presidio went private. They're like, there was some, they had some military base closings, and that was one of them, save money. Well, it went private. Well, guess what? One of the offices went to Mikhail Gorbachev, the former premier head, what's his name, of the Soviet Union. Why? I mean, literally, halfway around the world. He comes over, and all of a sudden, he's got an office at Presidio in America. Somebody explain that to me. Doing what? It was called the Green Cross. That's why they were saying environmentalism is just watermelon. Green on the outside, red on the inside. So then you have, immediately after that, that's when this United Nations and Agenda 21, and we're going to rule you from, and, it's like Brezhnev pounding at the United Nations, his shoe on the table, your children will be communist and all this guy. Well, who's more right? All right? The Green Cross eventually got folded into the United Nations. It's kind of part of their policy stuff. And then here's where the Al Gore comes in, and all the gory details start coming out with that. So I'm going, all right, so what do we have? Now we got Rick Perry running for president with Bilderberger support. He's as governor of Texas longer than anybody else. He was lieutenant governor under Bush. Bush goes to be president. He becomes governor for over a decade. He puts in all his stuff. Heck, Texas is his own country. So here comes Perry with all his boys in place and the Karl Rove and the machine down there and whatever, and we got oil and money and rule the world, and we got our seat at the table to Bilderberg or whatever. They have him go. He speaks. Here he comes, and he was state campaign chair for Al Gore in 88. I'm like, man, you can't make this stuff up. He forces Gardasil, vaccinations of young women, executive kind of for Merck Pharmaceuticals you got to have, and we're going to, force vaccinations. And I'm going, and you want to be president? Here's a guy, I had no problem. Yeah, force vaccinations, make me president, do it on the nation. I will come up with an excuse. I'm certainly show my willingness to do it. So I'm going, okay, so here we have the Western democracies and the Western culture imploding. European Central Bank, Federal Reserve, everything's going, and all of a sudden here comes Putin saying, hey man, we're just going to have our own economic union over here. Gorbachev, no, got to have regime change. He's part of the West now. And then, who wants to go on Russian television now? See my point? Oh.